I read your was it Winged put in the CC Discord. They wanted people's opinions on the new World War Two NM. I was just scrolling down, and I saw your name. Just tell them exactly what you think. It's brilliant.
It was short and sweet. I saw it and I was like, read it because I don't usually go on there.
No.
But I just saw like there was a few notifications and like people getting on about it, and I saw like people being like, yeah, and I was just like, well, it wouldn't be the first time.
No, I gotta say I do find it's funny when, I mean, I suppose that Wargaming, they ask for people's opinions and they've got to be prepared for what they get back. But yeah, that one did make me chuckle, I must admit. I haven't actually played it. I mean, I played the 116 in Cold War, and I play it quite a lot.
It's good, isn't it? It's good in Cold War.
It is
really good.
I haven't touched it in World War Two though, so I haven't got a clue how it performed. It's better, is it?
Yeah, it was already pretty amazing in Cold War. If you know how to like play like a tank that doesn't have armor whatsoever. But yeah, on World War Two, because it has literally got the pen of like tier 10s, so like no matter what matchmaking you're in, it doesn't actually matter. Has 280 alpha, which is like not the highest, but at the end of the day, when you're firing every like 4.5 seconds.
Oh, it's a rapid reload with high pen.
Yeah, it's like 3,600 DPM at tier 8.
That's pretty good. And
yeah, so it's disgusting.
I mean, in Cold War, it's got the DPM, but it's also got the concealment. Is that the same?
Yeah, it's exactly the same. 200 meters concealment.
They've not changed that.
No. Got 470 meters view range with 200 meters concealment. So you can't see the stupid thing. And it also hits you. And like, you're just like, what the hell? It's one of those that will be like overpowered in someone that's experienced at World of Tanks. If you've just jumped onto the game and buy this thing, you're probably not going to be like that good in it. But if you know how to use the camouflage mechanics and you know how to use DPM, then this thing is actually just disgusting.
Right, because the only other I've got to remember it now. It's the Hellcat. Is that tier 7?
Oh yeah. The Super Hellcat.
Super Hellcat, that's the one. I've heard people say it's basically a Super Hellcat that's better at tier 8.
Yeah.
The Super Hellcat was good.
Yeah. I didn't like the Super Hellcat originally, but then I like revisited it, and I think I just played it a little bit just wrong at the beginning when I first tried it out. But then I tried it again, and I was like, Jesus, this thing's good. But yeah, I think it's much better tier for tier than the Super Hellcat, I think, because it doesn't get that crappy like turret traverse.
Yes.
So you can actually turn your turret. You can like reverse a lot faster as well, because you know with the Hellcat 105 and those sort of tanks, they're all really slow backwards, whereas this isn't even that slow backwards. Like probably like 20 something.
So they've basically ported the Cold War 116 into World War Two.
Yeah, I don't think that they've changed anything. Or very minimal changes, which means that like you've got a tank that literally can pen like everything. It doesn't miss because it's super accurate. It can go 70 kilometers an hour. Like,
so
I don't even know.
Oh, it's been. I think I said this. When did I say this? Someone asked me to do a World War II review of something. And for the first time, I thought to myself, I don't think I'm in a position where I could accurately review anything in World War II. Because I've probably played World War II 7 times this year. And that was just one game.
Yeah,
the last
I do
time
find that.
Yeah, the last time I played was artillery, and that was just one match.
Yeah.
So I'm not in a position to comment on World War II, I don't think, but based on my, I have played it a lot in the past, but porting a Cold War tank straight into World War Two. Yeah, I mean that's ridiculous.
I just don't think they thought of balance at all.
No. And I think someone mentioned on Friday, they left a comment in the stream because they revealed the what are they? The Czech, is it Czech and Romanian tanks for? I saw you did you did a video on it. I think it was yesterday.
Yeah.
Someone said that they know they announced these tanks that were coming, but they weren't expecting them to just be, oh, here's tier 8, 9 and 10 in era 1. Like, people were saying they weren't expecting that. And I do feel that there's, how can I put this? It's like, I'm sure they're working hard, but it does feel like there's a bit of laziness where they'll hype something to say, oh, brand new tanks, and then when they drop it in the reveal, it's like, oh, so
they're not. It's like if you're gonna hype it up and be like, yeah, there's brand new tanks, and then you're like, no, actually, they're just ones that are brand new to Cold War, and they've actually been in the game for like 6 years. You go, here's the new stuff, and then you're like, oh,
yeah,
well, that's a bit. It'd be different if they like released this and then branched further on, so that you'd end up with like a load. And I expect that that's probably what they'll do, but they're just releasing like first bit of the line, and then they'll do the later bit later on. Whereas they should probably just release the whole line.
I think I would personally, I would appreciate it if they were a bit more honest with. If they were more honest when they hyped stuff, I think I would appreciate and have a bit more respect for them, because if they were to tell me we have some new, no, it's not new, is it? We're introducing some tanks into Cold War that are in World War Two. If they were to phrase it like that, I think I would be more accepting of them when they actually dropped what tanks they were. Like, oh, okay, we're getting the TVP. Okay, all right. But when they say, "Oh, new tanks," you're thinking, "Oh, are we getting wheeled, armored? The sort of troop carriers, the wheeled troop carriers, or are we getting
PCs or what have you?" Yeah,
a new nation." When they say new, that's where everybody's head goes to, and then when
it's like, "Oh, there's stuff we've not seen before."
Yeah,
and it's like,
and I do find that I guess Wargaming has a bit of a wobbly reputation, and I think there are things they could do to help themselves that they're not doing.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And I do find I'm noticing it myself now with my channel, where when you release a video, you do have to be careful about, well, not so much careful, there are certain trigger words that you can put in the title and you're going to get the views. And I think that is largely, and I know you're good at doing that as well, because I will admit
it's how you get people to click. That's the thing.
Yeah, it is, and I'll admit I have gone through your channel sometimes and thought, all right, what words has Eclipse used?
Yeah, because the thing is like, I could be really honest and go Skoda T50 review, but no one wants to watch that, do they? Like, no one wants to no one wants to click on that, even if they would happily watch the whole thing. They're like, although you might be like, I don't know, this blah 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 tank is insane or whatever. It's like, as long as you actually show why or have a storyline behind it, then you've not like clickbaiting would be like, this tank makes 10 million silver, and then like you're like, it earned you like 100,000. It's like, if you played the tank 100 times, you'd earn 10 million silver. Like, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
There has to be some. It's got to be genuine. Yeah. The title has to match the genuine content of the video.
Yeah. Or at least to like some degree. Like, yeah, I've got it wrong in the past before, but I aim to at least try and showcase like something that's actually relevant. I think that's
of course, yeah.
That's the key thing. So like I did an E3 review recently.
Oh yeah, I saw that come up in my feed.
Yeah. I absolutely hate that tank. And it's not because the tank is like... everyone was like, oh, the E3's not that bad. You can like go in and play it like a heavy tank. And it's like, yeah, but as soon as anyone like gets around you or battle moves on, it's like you're limited by the actual tank. So like if you're like, I don't know, like a good player or an experienced player, you're trying to get like high damage results or have some like interesting gameplay where you're not spending 2 minutes at the beginning of the game just to get into position.
Yeah.
It's just terrible.
Yes, the E3. Obviously, like I said, I haven't played World War II for a long time, but I went for the E3 over the E4 because, well, T95 Doom Turtle, everybody wants it.
Oh, T95 was class though. To be fair,
it is. I got the E3, and I think it was in my second or third game I got ammo racked, and it shocked me because I thought, hang on a second, this thing shouldn't be getting ammo racked. And I looked at the module configuration, the module tab, and the lower plate, most people know the lower plate is the weak spot. But if you shoot just left or right of the lower plate, that's where the ammo racks are.
Yeah. And it's also paper as well, the left and right. Yes. I think like lower glaciers or something like that as well. So
tanks like that, I think they're their own worst enemies at times because you've got things like the Mouse, Type 5, all these super heavies, all these heavily armoured ones, they're just gold magnets. And I think that's one of the things that I quite like. It's one of the aspects that I like about Cold War is there seems to be less of the gold spam. Well, as far as every now and then you'll see an E3 running around in Era 1 firing, you'll see the blue tracer come past you and you think, oh, really? come on, dude, save some silver or whatever. Every now and then
he's like, now I can make. He's like, now I can make about 500k a game.
Yeah. But that's one of the things that I do like about Cold War, and I think that's the main question I wanted to ask because I know you're. I wouldn't say you're heavily against Cold War, but you're not its biggest fan, and Cold War is the only thing I play right now. So. For you,
I've jumped into a few streams.
Oh yeah,
before. Lurking usually.
Okay,
just have it on in there.
Yeah. It's a divisive topic. I think initially everyone was like, "Oh, it's going to divide the community," and I thought, no, it won't divide the community. But now I'm just playing Cold War, so I guess I am the definition of a divided community. Whoops. But other like yourself, I see you do Cold War reviews. I see you in a game every now and then, and you're always switching between the two. So clearly you play it, but what is in your mind? Are there problems with it? Do you have issues with it still, or what's your take on it?
I don't hate the game mode. It's just I'd rather play World War II. I think that's just the flat out reason. I prefer the gameplay that you have in World War II. Because even if you have artillery, it's annoying, but it's not that bad. Yeah, you might. No. Because I've accepted that artillery is just it's annoying, and it can remove literally every last drop of your hit points in one shot, but at the same time I've just accepted that yes, one in 40 games I might get one shot by artillery, or you might get your game ruined by artillery, mainly in 1 in 5 games or something like that. But yeah, I don't mind it that much, but I find the Cold War is I just don't like how YOLO it is. I think that's the thing. I feel like you could just go one flank and then suddenly there's 14 tanks just all YOLO'd into one position, and then they just run straight through. Yeah, I don't know.
I would say that example there, 1 in 40 games with artillery. I think Era 3 can be a little bit more like that because every vehicle has the maneuverability.
Yeah, that's what I'm primarily talking about. Like Era and like the top tier Era 2s and Era 3, like everything goes 70 kilometers an hour, regardless of whether it's a main battle tank or a light tank.
Yep.
From my experience, obviously, I know some tanks are different, but I'm not an expert at all at Cold War, which is why I try and avoid saying that certain things are terrible or what have you.
Right.
Yeah,
there are very few things in Cold War that I would call terrible. PT-76 is the only absolutely terrible, god awful.
Is that the Soviet light tank?
Yeah, Era 1. I tried playing it, and I played it on. I think I played it on stream. Or I played it somewhere, and I said it's like the gun is like being sneezed on by an asthmatic mouse. It's pathetic. It's absolutely pathetic. And it's a light tank that can't do light things. It's a tank that can't do medium things. They can't do heavy things. It's just what it, awful, absolutely awful, shocking. But the BMP-1 and the BMP-2 are brilliant. So I suppose
I've seen your video on that. The BMP-1, I think it was.
Yeah.
It was quite a big video, I think, from what I remember.
Yeah, that one though was before they fixed the ATGM launcher, the upgraded one.
Before it was nerfed. Just re-upload the same video. Just title it before it was nerfed.
It was interesting actually because after I released that video, Wargaming contacted me and said, "Oh, we're going to get that fixed next week." I thought, okay, all right. So it's I might have to remake that one actually because it's a totally different tank now. Yeah. It doesn't have all those bugs and problems, but I do love the BMP one, the BMP2 especially. I've tried form marking it and I got it to 97.56 or something like that. And I've been too scared to play it since.
Oh, you probably play one game and find you got 100%. That happens sometimes.
Does it?
Because if you play during a week where like everyone's been crap.
Oh yeah, of course it would jump straight up, won't it?
But it could equally go down by 2% if everyone's been playing better.
I'll have to wait for them to release the next line of light tanks, so everybody else will be grinding this other line, and then I'll drop my game in. But yeah. So you're not that overly against Cold War. That's interesting. Because I do feel
I don't like True Vision.
Oh, okay.
But like it is what it is. I can see why people like it because it is annoying when you get like. I can see why it's annoying if you don't understand camo mechanics in World of Tanks, and of course it isn't actually realistic, is it either? Like being invisible or what have you. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, that was I did try playing. I did try playing World War II, and I took the IS-3 out, and there was a moment where there was another, I can't remember what the heavy was, but it was right next to me on the other side of a ridge, and I'd gotten so used to just panning the camera up to see where they're driving on the other side of the ridge, and they just vanished. And like at that point my brain threw a wobbly because I was like, wait, where'd he go? Where's he gone? How can I play this? How can I play this game? So, you just get so used to well, for me, I got so used to True Vision that that part of the game, I don't know if I could go back to it because it's just so it's counterintuitive to me. But yeah, I know that is where the games come from, and PC. That's all PC is really, isn't it?
Yeah. Like I say, I don't mind Wargaming doing stuff that's new. But it doesn't mean I have to like it, and it doesn't mean that you should have to be forced into doing it either. Is another thing. Which, touch wood, so far, although all of the new content is on Cold War, yeah, I don't feel that bad.
Oh, but what content have they? When you say forced, what do you mean?
Like, as in, bit like only new content is on Cold War.
Oh, right.
Because sometimes I think, right, okay, the new season, tier 100 is a Cold War tank. The other one's a Cold War tank, like as part of the season pass. All of the new tank lines, like 2 new tank lines in Cold War, and we've got like 1 new premium from World War II. I'm like, okay, yeah. So I wonder where you've got to go for new content. So yeah. there is that. I get that there's a lot more tanks that they can do in Cold War because there's just so many more tanks available. In real life, that is not
the case. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I hadn't actually thought of it that way because just playing Cold War, I thought, oh, okay, cool, another new tank. But they had the splitting the game modes does seem like they need dual development. You know, you need a Cold War development team, World War II development team. I mean, maybe they do, I don't know. But working in tandem so that every season there's a balance between the two. And I know that some of the CCs, or one of the CCs, requested that the monthly giveaways that we have, if like me, you only play Cold War, you only stream Cold War, chances are your audience are only interested in Cold War because that's what that's what they know you do, and if they've subbed to you, it's probably because that's what they want to see. So if I'm doing a Cold War stream and a giveaway, and I'm giving away a tier 8 World War II tank, it does seem to be a little bit like, it's not really what's best for me. I mean, I appreciate the gesture of providing free stuff, you know, that's always good, but if no one wants your free stuff, it's borderline.
Exactly, it's pointless, isn't it?
It's pointless, yeah.
If they're not going to use it, then what's the point in them having it at all?
Exactly. And you're primarily World War II, so from the comments that I get on my content are sort of very pro Cold War because that's what I do. What's the attitude of people that don't play Cold War? I mean, you've probably got a better sense of it than I do, but what is the general feeling towards the game regarding the Cold War content from people that don't really play it?
I think they just, a lot of people just like I am, they play World War II primarily, but they'll jump onto Cold War if there's something interesting that they want to do. There's not really like that much of a I hate Cold War, it's the worst thing in the world. You still get those in the comments, but and similarly you get people like, oh well, I've completely moved from World War II, I don't play it at all anymore. But yeah, I think generally it's not too bad. I think people I think anyone that had a problem with it has probably already left, so by this point. So yeah, I don't think it's too bad at this point.
Okay. Because I've replayed some of the lower level tanks in World War II. The progression in the lower tiers of World War II is quite steady. It's quite, I'd say, rewarding on a fairly steady pace.
Oh yeah, because you unlock everything pretty quick between like tiers 3 and tiers 7, probably, I'd say.
Yeah. And I jumped into a stock. I jumped into a stock T44 and an M46, and I just sort of played them through like you would if you were a new player, and I'm I'm fairly decent at the game, and even for me, I was thinking, this is hard, this isn't easy, and
Yeah.
I do wonder how people get through. If you're a new player to the game, you might like the game mode of Cold War, but it can be, maybe it's just too much for people. And I mean, if I was struggling to grind out an M46 and I'm at the level I am with the experience I've got, I hate to think what it's like for new players, and I do wonder if there needs to be a sort of an earlier stage in Cold War where the new players have a place that's a bit more rewarding. Because if you're having to, I mean, a tier 3, tier 4, tier 5, you might be asked to grind out 12,000 XP, 15,000 XP per module. But when you're being asked to grind out 25,000, 20,000, 30,000 just for, tracks, radio,
I mean, like 150,000 to unlock the next tank, or is it 110,000 or something?
Something
to
like
unlock
that.
the
Yeah.
next tank.
Yeah, it's not small numbers, and
It's like probably for a new player, maybe a couple hundred games.
yes,
Like
exactly.
considering you probably only get like 500 XP on average a game if you're brand new to the game, never played it before.
Without a premium account, definitely.
Yeah. Without a premium account, probably take you longer than that. It might take you 300 games. If you've never played at all, you don't have a premium account, and you don't even know what's going on. And you don't have the silver either to unlock it.
Oh my word, silver! Bloody hell, it's insane. Like, I know, I guess for me in my head, I've kind of gone on a bit of a let's gain some perspective here for what it's like to start over, and the XP, like we just said, the XP is one thing, but the silver it's astronomical. Absolutely, it would probably be enough for me if I were new to the game and I didn't have the experience I do now. I'd think to myself, right, I've got to earn an extra 20,000 XP. I'll spend my weekend earning 500 to 800 XP per game on my standard account just to unlock the gun. You get there. Oh, and by the way, that's 1.1 million silver.
Oh, and by the way, you've been losing money every game.
And possibly
because you don't have a premium account.
Yeah.
I mean, you probably won't, but you'd still need to carry on grinding out games, and then you spend the silver on that, and by the time you've earned enough silver to get that, you've unlocked the next tank, and you're like, well, what do I actually spend my money on? Do I buy the next tank, or do I buy the upgrade, or what do I do?
And I think, for me anyway, that has been the biggest sort of light bulb moment in my head when it comes to the reality of what we're playing. I mean, as you know, content creators are good at telling you what you can do, but I wouldn't say we're very good at understanding the position of a new player, because that was such a long time. I mean, what are you? You're 8+ years?
Yeah, I think it's probably 8 years now.
Yeah. I've just gone over 5. So
I do remember the bad times when I was grinding through my like Hetzer with like a 38% win rate or whatever it was.
Oh, boy.
Being like, why is this not good? And I was like, oh, because I'm not firing heat, and I don't have full equipment, and I don't have perks, and I don't have the silver to spend, and I've never played the game, and I don't know what Sixth Sense is, and blah 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 blah. So that's why I always drum in about the perks and the equipment in anything that I've done before. In like, if you have this, it will be so much easier for you to get better.
Yes.
Because if you don't have them, it's a flat rate like reduction on whatever you're doing. if you can reduce the amount of disparity between you and like someone who does have all of that stuff, who's played the game, then it'll be a little bit less bad.
Yeah, I had a thought. I think it was earlier this week where I was playing the BMP one, but I didn't have it fully unlocked. I wasn't playing it fully unlocked. I was playing it with the downgraded engine, the downgraded tracks, so it really was sluggish. And I wondered if, like, I know you earn your way up to better tanks, but I do think there needs to be some kind of middle ground for new players, because if you were to provide them with a sneak peek maybe of like, here, play 5 games in a fully upgraded M48 or a 165, you know, that would then give you the, you know, here's what you could be if you keep going. But if you stick someone in a stock M46 and just get them to grind all the way through M46, M47, and then all the way through the M48, there are probably so many people that have given up on the game before then, because it's just this endless kind of, I'm still not competitive. And I mean, I did that video on the T44, and you can be competitive in the T44 because it's a particularly good tank. It just so happens it is a good one, but that's the exception, not the rule, I'd say, for Era 1. And that's where I think the World War II mode got it right, because you can be
staggering.
Yeah, you can be competitive in your, you know, maybe your stock tier 4, because you're still playing tier 3s. You've still got that, oh okay, I'm in a new tank, but I'm still okay. But weekends especially, I'll take out my 107 and you'll see an M46 in the field, and I've done this a couple of times. I've circled an M46 3 times, just, you know, bang 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 non-stop, and I realized, just based on what their play style, how they're moving, the way their turret's moving around, I realized that's a new player, and I'll just drive off. I'll leave them, because I think it's just like, it just doesn't feel right to be doing that.
Like stealing candy from a baby.
Yeah, and I realized, like, I'm supposed to be promoting this game, so I'm not gonna do something that's just gonna totally destroy it for someone else. Like, I'd like them to at least have more than 30 seconds of gameplay.
Yeah.
You know, because they've wandered out into a field somewhere, and I've flanked in my light tank because no one can see me, and there he is. I do think that something at the lower tiers needs to change, because it just doesn't. I know seal clubbing's a thing in World War II, and that's kind of, it's frowned upon, but
yeah,
there isn't really seal clubbing in Cold War, because it's like, well, what are you playing? Oh, I'm just playing Era 1. Oh, okay, that's fine. You've got 5 years experience playing Era 1. All right, cool. If you've got 8 years experience and you're rolling around in tier 3, it's like, aha, yeah, right, okay, dude. We know what you're doing. You're seal clubbing. And I just find, I think the new player balance of Cold War does need to be adjusted somehow. I don't know how, but based on what I've experienced in the last, you know, couple of weeks with, you know, trying it out myself, it's very, very difficult down at the bottom stock, even if you're experienced.
Yeah.
And I don't know what they could do to fix that. I would like it if we didn't have these eras so much. I would like the flow to be a bit more like World War II, where you just go from tier to tier. Didn't have these sort of brackets where you're stuck, because it can be a bit samey.
Yeah, I find that weird.
Tiers,
like the whole
eras. Yeah.
Because it's like, Yeah, just doesn't seem fair on the like lowest tier in the game.
Yes.
Because if you're playing the T44, every single game you'll pretty much be at the bottom.
Yeah.
There is no like even +1. Like, there's no top tier games that you'll play in the T44.
Do you think it would work if the eras were removed and it was more of a seamless jump between tiers 10 and Cold War? I mean, I think I had a conversation with Pills about this, where if it were to be a seamless jump where you earned your tier 10 and you had the option to take your tier 10 out in a Cold War battle or a World War II battle, so you could pick your environment, but it would mean that there would be a more seamless transition between. I mean, that might not work. I don't know.
Oh yeah, I'd 100% be down for them to just kind of carry on from tier 10 and just combine them both into one, because I think it's kind of pointless having them separate at this point. I feel like it'd be a lot more of a cohesive game if they just were like, right, what we'll do is we'll make a decision on this whole True Vision thing.
Yeah.
And then just like bring that in all as one, because otherwise it's just like, we've got this Cold War game mode, it's kind of got this own thing, it's got some problems. We've also got this World War II game mode, it's got good things, it's got bad things. Why not just combine them together and just have it as, this is World of Tanks console sorted?
Right.
And then you haven't got the whole like, is it good, is it bad, blah blah blah. Yeah, I'd much rather see that than what they've kind of currently been doing. Or like splitting the game mode, splitting the eras. Just literally have like era or tier 1 all the way up to like tier 19 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And that way, when you introduce new tanks, they just lead on from the tech tree. So when you introduce a new tank line, you could introduce it on World War II and also Cold War. So then you've got, oh, here are the Japanese tank destroyers, or I don't know, and here's tier 1 all the way up to tier 19, so everyone gets at least something. Rather than being like, oh, well, here's the Japanese tank destroyers, but only for World War II, and then in a year and a half we'll introduce the exact same tanks into Cold War. And it's like, just introduce it all as one kind of tank line.
Would you want to see? Yeah. Would you want to see? Sorry, go on, Lee.
And even if they just had it where you could choose what game mode you wanted to play, so like you could play tier 4 in Cold War.
Yeah.
I want to play tier 4 Cold War, or tier 4 True Vision. Or, I want to play the M1A2 Abrams in World War II mode, as it currently is, if you know what I mean, with the mechanics that they have. But because then people get the best of both worlds. They get all of the tanks from the previous game added into the new mode, or whatever they want to call it. I just don't see the point in separating them. Just literally add them all into one tech tree line. And then when you unlock one, you unlock the next one on the other game mode, and you can just play the tank on whichever game mode. But I'd just purely down to a Wargaming thing being like, well, we can make one premium tank and then make another one, and then they can pay for both of them and that sort of thing. But then again, I'm like, well, how many people actually play both game modes to the point where they'll buy the exact same tank on both game modes? So I don't think it really makes much monetary sense anyway.
Because I think that is probably the number one complaint, is why would I want to grind for the FV 4005 again when I've already got it in tier 10? Why would I want to play for the M48 again when I've already got it? Why would I want to play for the T54? I've already got it at tier 9. it's. I think the biggest issue is this sense of laziness. I think is one, and I think you've said it. I think you used the word recycled. You know, it's not new. You're just recycling, and then that's just lazy. And I think what you've said there about having the option to play either or with the tanks you've got all in one tech tree, that I would love to see that.
Yeah,
because I mean, there is a part of me. Yeah, I miss playing. I miss playing the Tiger. I miss playing the King Tiger, the M4s, the Shermans. I just because they're historic. You know, I would like to play those. I mean, there's nothing stopping me from playing them in World War II, but it's the environment that I've grown accustomed to, in the environment of Cold War that I love. I'd love to just have the tanks that I've already got. I'd love to still use them, but it's not that I can't. I just don't really want to with that given game environment, and I personally, I think I'm with you on this. I don't understand the mindset behind why it's happening.
Because at the end of the day, it doesn't really make any sense. Why not just, instead of having 9 different tiers in Cold War and having 3 different matchmakers, and then having an entirely completely different matchmaker, splitting the player base to the point where, like, oh, now we've got people playing Cold War Era 1, Cold War Era 2, Cold War Era 3, and World War 2 era, tiers 1 or tiers 3 all the way to 10, which can be separated into like 6 different matchmakers, or whatever it is. There's a +1 or +2, -2. It just seems like, well, can they not just add it all into one, make it back into a cohesive game, and then just be like, look, we accept maybe this wasn't the best idea, but that's literally Wargaming all over. They never, even if they make a mistake, they never apologise or be like, actually, maybe we got this wrong. It's always just, oh, we've come up with a brand new idea. How about we combine them both together? Like, no, what you mean to say there is you've absolutely made a mess up, and you know you've made a mess up, and now you're just being like, oh yeah, look at how great we are, we've solved it. It's like, you could have just done that in the first place.
Yes.
It's like that with a lot of premium tanks. They're like, should we nerf it? It's like, well, yes. If it's going to impact the gameplay of all of the new players that you supposedly care about. And yes, it's like the Panzer V4. Oh, but there's loads of people that have bought it before. It's like, yeah, but think about all of the players that haven't yet played the game and who would play the game if they didn't have to grind up against people that were like with 9 skill crews, with all of the ramming perks, with all of the DPM perks, with all of the spotting perks, with all of the equipment that helps them out, and makes this tier 5 into a tier 6 heavy tank that's actually a medium at tier 5 and that can go 70 kilometers an hour and ram you for full health. And it's like, maybe you should just nerf the broken premium tank, take the hit on the money, of which people will be a little bit salty for about 3 days and be like, oh, my broken Panzer V4 that everyone knows about has been nerfed. But yet again, it's just they just don't have a backbone, Wargaming. They never do. Never. It's like the whole artillery thing. Oh, we're going to change artillery in World War II. We're going to nerf the T-92. Literally brought in some sound effect changes, and they're like, yeah, I think that's enough for now. Like,
yeah.
What are you saying? You said you were going to nerf the alpha damage of the T-92. Instead, you've just given us some visual effects changes, so now you can see the round hit you, and you can hear the round when it's about to hit you. It's like, at what point do you have literally... Remember, like, most artillery rounds come in at about 1.5 second between when they fire and when it hits you, or maybe 2.5. So if you're playing a mouse, there's absolutely no point in having visual changes. Oh look, there's the round that's coming in and hitting me. I could literally move 1 meter and it's still going to hit me. Or, oh look, I'm in a light tank, there's a round coming in and I'm trying to focus on the whole gameplay anyway. So I'm not looking in the sky all of the time. Like,
Yeah.
it's just utterly pointless.
That point you made there, T92. I was aware that they were making changes to artillery. I didn't see it as affecting me. Again, Cold War doesn't have artillery, so I just thought, oh, okay, they're changing artillery. People have been talking about that for years. The World War II community is probably going to be quite happy with that. So the Tuesday update came out. Tuesday night, I platooned up with a friend and we took our T92s out. First game, and I had one of the best damage games I'd ever had in the T92, and I sort of finished on the MVP screen, scratching my head thinking, they've made this better, which is not what people wanted. Come again, Wargaming? It's like, huh?
They just never do anything that's actually worth it. They literally don't make any good changes on World War II. I don't know about Cold War. Maybe they don't either. But
I gotta say,
like, after 8 years of listening to their absolute, like, just fake caringness. That's basically what it is. And I don't think I need to hold back, because I've played this game long enough to know that when Wargaming say, oh, it's coming soon, or we're going to make these changes and it's going to be better, like, it's been 8 years and they're still not better, so I don't think I hold up much hope and will believe in anything they say until it comes into the game.
Right, okay. So I'll ask.
It's like... Go on.
I'm being perceptive here. Tell me if I'm wrong. But you sound fed up, tired, exhausted, worn out. Why do you keep playing? What keeps you?
I play because I enjoy the game. I don't... If the company behind it cared as much as everyone else did who plays the game, then it might actually be decent. But that's why you see World of Tanks console. It's like there's barely anyone that plays it compared to any of the other game modes. It's like to any of the other like even Blitz. Like you're seeing hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people playing this like mobile game. Like you're telling me that a mobile game is going to have more players than and World of Tanks on a mobile? Like, come on, that's a lot harder to actually like get into, isn't it? Like,
yes.
You're telling me that they can't deal with it on a console where people actually have a controller and stuff like that, and they can't get it right.
So is it like an incompetence sort of? Is that what you're sensing from them?
I don't know. I just don't think they've had any clear direction as to what they want the game to go in, and that's just led to just like all of people. I'm not blaming anyone. Like I'm not like this person did this wrong at Wargaming or, but they just don't seem to get it, and they never have. I don't know whether that's just because A, they don't care, B, they just don't really want to grow the game because it's a nice little cash earner. They don't want to expand the business to the point where they try and get new players in because it may or may not work, and it might cost them more, and it's everyone else that's just playing it. Maybe they're just trying to slowly just fade out the console version. I don't know. I just feel like they're just slowly like withering away at the people that play the game.
Right, okay.
And they just don't have a clear vision as to what they actually want. It just seems like they're just kind of like, yeah, we'll do this, and then they do it for like a year and a half, 2 years. You saw it with like the mercenary tanks. They like bring them in, they heavily focus on one singular thing, disregarding everything that they've done before and everything that they're going to do in the future. And then they're like, oh, why has everyone left? Or why is suddenly no one playing our game anymore? And then they're like, oh, maybe we should have thought forward and been like, hang on a minute, this doesn't really make sense. Or they don't think about the audience that actually plays their game. Case in point, Hot Wheels. Like, what the...
Go on, say it. Say it.
Like, what the hell? My average audience age is like 40. No one, literally no one plays Hot Wheels. Like, genuinely, no one's playing with Hot Wheels that plays World of Tanks. Like, what the? Just. And like,
Yeah.
if you're trying to attract that audience, they're not going to pay 40 quid for a tank on their game. Like, this is the other thing. It's like, if you're trying to attract a younger audience, typically they don't have as much money because A, they're like 12 and they're saving up their pocket money. So they're not going to be able to spend 40 quid on a tank every single month when it gets released. B, how many 12-year-olds do you actually know that would sit down and play World of Tanks grinding out and just getting wrecked for like 10 hours straight? It's like, very few. They'll be like, oh, let's go and play Fortnite because I don't have to think very much on this game.
No offense to Fortnite players.
No, I know. But that's just what it is. It's a casual game, which is why it's so popular, where you just kind of jump on. I know you can do that on World of Tanks, but
Of course, yeah.
it's not particularly, like, it's not rewarding as a casual player, I don't think. I have no idea how people just jump onto World of Tanks and play like 3 games of an evening and be like, yeah, that was fun. Like, was it?
Well, maybe that your point is precisely that. The reason they only play 3 games is because it wasn't fun. And they'll spend 3 games on a Saturday thinking, oh, that wasn't fun. But those 3 games weren't really enough for them to have a negative view of the game. So they'll leave it a week. They'll watch some tanking videos during the week. They'll watch the tank museum review or something, you know, and then they'll think, oh, I'll try that tank game again. And then there's 4 battles. Maybe, I mean, we don't have the data for that. Wargaming have that info.
I think that they have a problem with it from what I think they have said about it before in some of their live streams. Like or on like one of their, I can't remember what it was, but I'm pretty sure they said like, basically a lot of people just kind of come on and they don't play for very long. I don't know. But you can imagine that, like, how many people like come on and play like 1,000 games. It's probably, I feel like the people that make it to 1,000 games often end up playing like 20,000, but people that make it to like 5 games is probably pretty low, which is, I think it was when they brought in all of these new player changes that they were trying to help out new players, and they were like, the average people that play the game is only like, they might only play like 6 games or something like that. Like, as a new player, like, a lot of people just leave straight away. So,
Yes.
like I said, they need to have like the little virtual assistant bloke. Like, here you go, this is the tank, this is how it's supposed to be played. But you can turn off the assistant if you don't need it or if you don't want it. But loads of games have it, like, these are the perks that you probably should take. You don't have to take them. But here are the, like, you know, a little like character pops up on the screen and goes, these are the perks, highlights the perks, which typically people use as the first 3 perks that you have in the game. Give them like, I don't know, give them 5 million silver to start off with, because who actually cares about a new player being given 5 million silver? Who actually cares, like, genuinely? And 5 million silver goes absolutely nowhere, like, genuinely goes nowhere. Someone gifted me like tens of millions of silver. I ended up with like 160 million silver. I'm now down to 80 million silver.
Yep.
Like, I've bought a fair few of the tier 10s using the money, but like 80 million silver. Even playing Cold War, that's like 160 solid games of using ×2 silver boosters and having like really, really good games at the same time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'd give them 5 million silver. I'd give them a commander with probably three perks on, maybe a couple of commanders. Maybe give them just the option to assign whichever nation they want to use. I'd probably, I think just give them perks or something like that, or give them commanders that have the perks that you probably should take to begin with.
So I
feel like that would help.
Yeah, you have. So I guess you've got a very clear idea of what should be done to make it better.
Yeah, for new players. maybe not. Like for me personally, some of the changes I want are not going to really impact new players. But at the end of the day, those new players will eventually end up where we are potentially. Probably less likely, but yeah, there needs to be just a rethink, I think, from Wargaming's end, because it's just been so disconnected between everything that they've done that they just need to sort it out, basically. It's my opinion. Obviously, my opinion isn't right or wrong or what have you.
Well,
and
no.
You yourself, I'm assuming that you have a good opinion as to what you'd like to see as well.
I don't think it's right to say that anyone's opinion is right or wrong, but I would say that certain opinions are more well informed.
For example, like a person that's played 10 games.
Yeah, you would. If you had a medical problem, you would take a doctor's advice over my advice. That kind of thing. I hope.
Yeah, it'd be all right.
Yeah, your leg, fine. Don't worry about it. You'll be fine. It's just a scratch.
But it's in half.
Yeah.
Paracetamol.
Yeah, a bit of ibuprofen. You'll be fine. Walk it off. That we do have the option to provide Wargaming with feedback. There is the test server, and I know the content. Are you in the test server?
No, I dropped out because I was just like, this is pointless. Like, to all intents and purposes.
Okay, all right, that's interesting actually. Because I
found it completely pointless.
I was test server, like you. What was pointless about it? In your opinion?
Here we've got a tank. It's coming into the game. What do you think about it? Give your feedback. Literally the next day gets released into the game. Okay, so obviously you're never going to be able to do anything with the feedback that we've given before it gets released. So what is the point in asking us? For us to just kind of cheer you up and be like, yeah, you've done it well, or like, yeah, I just find it utterly pointless. And you make all of these comments and then they just don't do anything about them. Like, I never saw any actioned comments on stuff that you put in, and it was just like, well, what? Like, I'm not wasting my Thursday nights or whenever it was. I don't know. Yeah. Writing down and having to do all of these schedules. It's like, this isn't my full-time job. This is your job. You should be doing this. You should be thinking about what you actually have to do. It's like,
on that point, actually, that's an interesting thing you've said there, because we do the test server is a thing. So all of the premiums that come out, all game changes that come out are tested, air quotes, tested. By I don't know how big the group is. I think there must be 20 or 30 people. And what bothered me was a little bit like what you've just said, but I got the impression that the test server was simply a box ticking exercise for Wargaming to go on stream and say, we have a community test server. No, sorry, not community test server. We have a test server. Everything is tested, just so that they could actually say that. Because again, I remember I was in the test server when I think it was the Armadillo. No, I joined just after the Armadillo, and I remember the Mauler. The Mauler came out, and I loved the Mauler. And Slapperfish, he said to me, if you like the Mauler, just wait a week. And that was a week prior to the Armadillo coming out. The original Armadillo, not the nerfed one, not the not the shadow that it is of its former self now. So that right there told me that a week before, Slap knew there was an issue, and then it came out, and suddenly there's this like, oh, this is This is a bit
And
overpowered, isn't it?
Wargaming went, oh,
Yeah.
we didn't know it would be this good.
But then that's exactly what's happened
didn't
this
you?
week, because we've had that, and you put your reply in, which I chuckled at. What's everybody's opinion of the 116? Well, isn't that a question you would have asked during the test?
Or before, or would you have not just run
exactly.
it past everyone and
Yes.
said, look, we're thinking about just literally releasing the Cold War tank straight into the game?
Yes.
What do you think? Does it need to be changed? Well, yes, probably, because they are two separate game modes, and you're comparing a tank that is in a different era, basically, or at least like against different tanks that are completely different kind of way in which the game plays.
Yeah, you cannot, even if it's an Era 1 TD, you cannot put that into World War II.
Yeah, I know, because they're like the view ranges are all different and stuff like that. Like,
Because it's
you
still,
know, you can see like
yeah,
just
it's still concealment is insane.
yeah, and it is on World War II, which is why it's such a problem. Well, it's not like a problem, but it's just like it's for anyone that understands what can be broken about certain tanks and why they're like ridiculously good. It's like you could see that a mile off. Like great view range, great DPM, probably best in class DPM. Penetration is the second best in the game. Turret traverse is absolutely fine, like a normal tank. The reverse speed isn't even bad. Like we've seen the Hellcat 105 being released into the game, which has like 350, which is genuinely pay to win. Get more penetration on its premium rounds and more damage on its premium rounds.
Really?
And more shell velocity and its heat
Okay,
rounds
hang
as
on
well.
a second. I
So,
wasn't aware of that. I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, so that was released ages, like probably like 4 years ago, because that's when me and the boys used to play. But they didn't play anymore.
Bloody hell.
Rightly so. So many terrible changes, and we used to chuckle every single time back in the day, and they used to release something. It used to be, and like some of their like things that they put on their website as well make me chuckle in the news, and it would be like, this tank is supposed to be played like this, and it's like, is it really?
Yeah. Hang on, actually, sorry, you keep going. I'm gonna find. I want to find a web page.
And it makes me laugh, and you see them being like, oh, we don't want to nerf a premium that people have paid for, and it's like, but hang on a minute, what about the armadillo? Fine with that one. Why not just actually nerf tanks and just put a disclaimer when people buy tanks? This tank is subject to change. It can change dependent. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
That way, people know. Just be really clear about it that tanks can change. If you buy it, it may not be like it. It will only change if it's really like significantly impacting other players. It's the same as why I think
I agree.
the Panzer 5.4 needs to be. And yet again, as going back to the whole artillery changes that they brought into World of Tanks, or were going to bring in, and then they were like, actually, no, we've done enough now. That'll be fine. Player base will love us now that we've brought in the fact that now we can hear your rounds coming in. He said probably like a year ago, oh, we're going to nerf the Panzer 5.4. We know it's overpowered. It's really, really strong. We're going to nerf it. Literally like a month later, oh, we've kind of looked into it and now we're not going to nerf it. So why the hell did you say that you were? It was literally all confirmed, like, yep, the Panzer 5.4 is going to get nerfed. I even did a video on it being like, the Panzer 5.4 is getting nerfed. It's the last hurrah of this broken, overpowered premium. Literally, like, 2 weeks later, makes me look like an absolute tool for even believing Wargaming would even bother to do it. And just like...
Right, okay. So that's some of where your frustration comes from then, because the information, it's a combination of them not doing things and then saying they'll do things and then they don't.
Yeah. And then it's like I don't really care if it makes me look like a tool for like 1 hour when someone sits there and goes, actually, they haven't nerfed it. And like, how many people go back and watch that video? But it's the fact that like I'm trying to promote the game. I'm not trying to promote wargaming at all. I just very clear by some of my views in on some of the news and the bundles that they release. You can see very clearly, and you do get the odd comment that's like, you're just a wargaming, blah blah blah. Like, they obviously pay you to do this, and I'm like, definitely don't pay me to do this. I wish I got paid to do it.
No, I totally get where you're coming from with that. There are two things recently that happened, and I think it was what was the new British premium? Was it Charlemagne? Tier 8. The
yes.
2-shot autoloader.
Yes, it was. Yeah. No, the Caliban. The Caliban. That's it.
Okay. All right.
The 1700 Alpha or whatever it is.
They had. It was released on the Tuesday. The Friday stream, they did a kind of, and here's this week's showcase for the new premium. And I mean, I don't remember the clip. I don't remember the color of the round that was fired, but someone got a bombardier medal in this tank, and you know, that's pretty impressive, to be fair. I mean, normally only artillery gets that, but their explanation was in my head, I'm thinking they must have been two very low health tanks, and whoever it was firing high explosive.
Right, I've done it before in the KV2.
Yeah, but you're firing an explosive round, so you've got the splat, you've got the blast radius.
Yeah,
that to me is exactly what I thought they were going to go with on stream. But what they said on stream was, oh, that must have been a ricochet that killed both of them, which doesn't make sense. I mean, yeah.
Hang on a minute, it's bounced off the first one. The first one somehow
yes,
got taken out.
Yes. I mean,
I got the other one.
Don't hold me to this. Someone will have to go back to the stream. I can't remember, it was 2-3 weeks ago, and correct. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Then I'll take this back. But that's what they said on stream, and immediately in the chat it was, no, that was probably HE, and that was the first time in my head I had the thought of, do these people play the game?
No, they don't. They genuinely don't.
I've found the article here. This was the article that was released for the Type 63 HG90, the Wargaming's anniversary premium Era 2 light tank, the ridiculous Chinese boat-looking thing.
Oh yeah.
And you scroll down to their gameplay tips, and it says, gameplay tip: use this tank to its fullest by activating cruise control. No, I don't know. And use the handbrake to make sharp turns. Okay. Right, yeah.
Right, yeah.
Tag your opponent, whatever that means, and execute circles of death with your reliable gun. They talk about circles of death. You need a particular vehicle with a particular, mobility stats here. The gun, no. This thing is the same size as a friggin' cruise liner. You don't want to be circling anybody unless they're the last tank alive and you've got 14 of your team backing you up.
Yeah, I thought that. I thought that when I played it. I think I did a review of that.
Yeah, you liked it. You actually liked it, which shocked me. But
Yeah, I liked it just because it was like a ramming boy. I was like, yes. But only for the meme value. It wasn't actually good. Like, it's not a good tank.
It's just, I read, as a player, I read gameplay tips, and what would gameplay tips for this light tank? Well, I mean, you liked it, so you're probably better placed to say this, but the only bullet point of their gameplay tips I actually agree with is enjoy this solid plus 65% silver bonus. And that's not even a gameplay tip, that's just a statistic. Like, this tank has 65% bonus on silver. That doesn't change regardless of how you play it, and it's in their gameplay tips section. It feels so disconnected from reality, the reality of the game. It doesn't. I mean, I'm happy. I'll be just like, okay, whatever. I don't like the tank anyway, so it's not going to bother me. But in the last couple of weeks, I have thought to myself, what is going on here? Who's writing this? And I mean, in my video for this tank, I did go into it in a bit more detail, and I think I said whoever's doing their marketing needs a pay rise because they're flipping good at making a turd look great.
They should get me on that. Yeah. Honestly, I mean, this thing's broken. Genuinely buy it now.
But I think, yeah, I think I can understand where you're coming from a little bit. I mean, I don't have the 8 years experience. You're 3 years ahead of me, so that's 3 years more exposure to these antics. But
they were worse back in the day. You just used to not even care. They'd just be like, right.
Yeah, I've heard some stories from old CCs about what it used to be like, and yeah, granted it is better now, so maybe there's an upward trend, but yeah, I guess
I did upload videos like 6 years ago. I've got some really old videos here.
When
I used to do the news. I had a few news videos from back in the day.
Old ones?
Yeah, really old ones.
Oh, that's been your bread and butter for a while then, isn't it?
It always used to do well.
Yeah.
Right here. World of Tanks, brand new tanks, Monster Op Halloween special, 2nd of October 2016, 4,000 views.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Like when the Japanese Heavy got released, I did a weak spots one. I got 14,000 views, I think.
That's a popular one, yeah. I think
mate, I sounded awful back then as well.
Oh, I
braces, and I was like 16 or something.
This tank is amazing.
This is how you get rid of it. God, I have no idea how I'm sorry to 14,000 people. I'm sorry that you had to listen to that.
Yeah. No, I re-listened to some of my old videos, and I thought to myself, why did anyone sub to me? I sound so boring.
I still think that now when I watch my videos. I think, how is anyone watching this, man?
I don't know, but have you ever done a video on not so much a review type video, not a news video, just a video on this is what I think Wargaming needs to do to fix things. Here's my it's a feedback video basically, because there is always this sort of, we want to know your feedback. Yeah, I was actually reading through. We were talking about the questions that they answer, Wargaming answer.
Yeah.
And I was just scrolling down them. I mean, some of the questions are pretty good. We've got, is a particular tank's contract going to be around? And they've basically said no. Can we get marks of excellence added to the garage filter for options? There's something that they're looking at that. So I suppose if you want to filter by your percentage, I guess that's an option.
Yeah, I found that I didn't like the way that they said it as well. It's like, we don't know if this is beneficial. It's like, well, to you it might not be beneficial, but
well, I think something they said
to some people.
Yeah, I think something they said about the MOEs when it broke a couple of weeks back. On their stream, they said that for the majority of players, they're not even aware that marks of excellence are a thing. It's only the cream of the crop. I think they said the cream of the crop are the ones that this bothers. How I had no idea how it broke.
Yeah. Basically, just what happened was that whatever damage you did in that game that you've just had was basically your average for the entire time. So if you had like a 99% game,
Yeah.
you would end up with like 3 marks, I think. It was something to do
that's
with
what
like they
happened,
were
yeah.
checking like the average or something like that, but it ended up that they put in the wrong formula. Like
Oh,
it got
yeah.
substituted with a different one.
Yeah, the bug was if you had a mastery, it would reward you the marks of excellence based on the one game you just had rather than your overall running average of all your
Yeah.
games. So, you got a mastery, you got a 4 mark. But how that got introduced into the game, what went wrong, I don't know.
I think it was like they replaced one bit of the formula with your last game instead of the
Maybe.
overall or something like that. They did say exactly what happened, but just, just another oopsie moment.
Yes. They've said once double barrel tanks come into the game, will you add marks of excellence to other multi-barrel machines? I do want to see that happen because I've 3 marked the BMP2, but the main gun on the BMP2 is so small you can hardly see the 3 marks. So I think it would be quite nice to have the regular size marks on the side of the ATGM launcher on top, because that's far more obvious.
Yeah.
Although, like you said, our pink tank's going to be added to the game.
Why are they even recognising that? There's loads of good questions that they could answer. So, plus, like that's not particularly the best question. It should be more about like customization anyway. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
are they going to introduce more customization options? Which, like,
yeah,
it would be
give
kind of
us
cool.
What is it? It's PC where you've got a lot more options for customization, haven't you?
Yeah, I've always said that they should just bring in like back in the day on Call of Duty, used to be able to like have a load of challenges, like lifetime challenges and monthly challenges and various different things that would be like get X blah 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 with certain weapon to get X camo or what have you, or stuff like that. That would be kind of interesting to see them bring it into World of Tanks. I'm not talking about like, getting like some gold camo on a tank, but I mean like having a specific, mark on your tank, or just something that you can kind of grind towards once you've kind of got bored of everything else. Because I find that a lot of people, it keeps people playing the game because they're like, oh, I have to do this by the end of the month to be able to get this, whatever it is, like to get this special emblem or to get this camouflage, or I really want to just grind out those last few games to get 1,000 enemies destroyed in one singular tank, which gives me, I don't know, this emblem or inscription that's like gold or something like that.
I think I remember from my days of playing Call of Duty, the gold skins on tanks, the gold skins on weapons were a sign that that particular person had put in the time, they'd put in the hours, and they had the skill to pull off whatever that challenge was. And it wasn't like everybody was running around with a gold weapon. It was, if you ever saw one, it was like, whoa, that person, that's amazing. Something like 500 headshots or something, which for some people might be easy, but for me at the time it wasn't. And I think that having, like if you had 1,000 kills in a particular tank, you got some hyper rare camo scheme that no one else would have. Like, because my tier 9 Conqueror has the Amazon Prime skin on it, or camo.
Oh yeah.
And that is super rare. They don't do that one anymore. It's the kind of blue and purple looking thing.
Yeah, I've got that still. I haven't used
Yeah.
it on anything.
Yeah, like that's an example. Like, bring more of that into the game for particular, for particular challenges. Make them really, really difficult, or just make them long. Just make them not earnable overnight.
Yeah.
I
No,
think,
I agree.
yeah, I think that would be quite good. But I would like to see them answer some more. I mean, towards the end of the recent section of questions, they did answer, is there going to be an increase to World War II silver earnings? And they've said no. I think that's probably come about from players that have seen what you can earn in Cold War and don't want to play Cold War.
Yeah. But yet again, I think that's just Wargaming being like, well, maybe you should play Cold War.
Yeah, maybe.
Nudge, nudge. Maybe you should play Cold War. Here's a load of new content. It's all got on Cold War, by the way. Maybe they're just trying to get out from just actually developing any of the World War II. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. See, yet again, it's like their strategy is just completely like random. It's like, if that's what you want to take the game in, then just say it, because otherwise it's like no one wants to waste a load of their time.
Or maybe that's it. If they can string you along, they will.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's just which is probably more likely.
Yeah, and then they end on new Era 2 tanks coming.
Yeah, I know.
I can see your point. There is a lot of Cold War stuff, but then I suppose that's the side of the game they're going to flesh out because they can.
And it's new, isn't it? I don't know whether they're just experimenting with it for the other games, maybe, to see what the reception is and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. I think maybe that's a suggestion that could be made. Answer community questions, obviously, but also have a section for us to submit our own questions to be answered publicly.
To give it a good, like, holistic thing as well. I feel like that would be a roadmap, maybe. That would be kind of useful, just to see what Wargaming are planning for the next year, what their development is actually going into.
I thought they released a roadmap, didn't they?
They talked about it, I think. But
yeah, I know.
I don't think they ever actually released it.
Right. Well, that's another
I
question.
don't know. I might be wrong.
Yeah.
I might be wrong. But I never saw it.
I don't know.
I still play the game, so I guess it's
likewise. It's. I guess we'll have to see what happens, but yeah, I can appreciate that sometimes things are, well, especially for the longer term players like yourself, things from Wargaming are frustrating.
Yeah.
To say the least.
Yeah, it's just annoying most of the time.
Mm.
It's just the yo-yoing. Like, this is what we're gonna do. Oh, actually, no, this isn't what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
This is what we're gonna do. No, we're not doing that. Or we're never gonna do this, and then they go ahead and do it anyway. It's like, just pick one. You don't have to.
It's transparency, isn't it?
Yeah. And they definitely aren't. It's got better. Because back in the day, they just used to not even tell you anything. They'd just do it and then be like,
"Yep,
here you go. I don't care what you think at all. We don't even care what you think." But yeah.
Not what you want. Not what you want.
No, not at all. No, but we'll see how it goes. I mean,
we'll just have to see what happens in the future with Wargaming.
Yeah.
But from the perspective of veterans, I don't think they are holding their breath to see things happen the way they'd like to.
Yeah.
But then I do wonder if there hasn't really been much of a, what you could call a veterans ask Wargaming committee, That doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Maybe it needs to. Because
I just think. Yeah, go on. Sorry.
I was gonna say the old players do matter. I know new players are a priority, but that doesn't mean everything else should fall behind.
No, and new players turn into old players, so
yeah, this is the truth.
Eventually.
Yes, if they can stick around.
So I think. Long. Yeah, exactly. Which is the key problem.
Yeah.
I guess that they make a lot more money with new players, though. Myself, I've not spent any money on the game in a long time. So
no, I haven't.
There's always that.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't if I was just a normal player. Definitely wouldn't be spending any money on the game. 'Cause I just don't see the point. 'Cause I've got most things. I've got everything I need. I've got way more premiums than I'll ever have to actually need.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think a lot of people would be like that. Whereas new players, they need all of the new stuff. So I guess Wargaming make way more money from them because you can only buy a tank once, can't you?
True.
So
unless you make the mistake I did, which was sell a premium and then buy it back again. Yeah, I did do that.
One of my friends had that habit.
What, sell it, rebuy it?
Yeah. You can submit a ticket if you've got the silver on your account, though, to get tanks you've already got back.
I never did that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't do that.
So if you ground out like 3 million silver or whatever it is to actually the cost of the tank, you could get it back.
Oh, right, okay.
Rather than buy it with gold.
Wish I'd known that.
I've never had to do that
3 years ago.
Yeah. But,
oh well.
Full price of a tier 8 is like 5 million or something like that. So
yes,
it's a lot of silver.
That is. It's a fair bit of gold too.
I mean, how's things been going with you anyway, with your channel and stuff? Are you finding people are interested then in the whole Cold War stuff?
Yeah, I'm finding that. Well, recently, ATGMs has been a big thing. I don't want to, I don't want to claim that I've come up with certain techniques for using them or ways of using them. I'm sure other people have, but I've put them in videos, and people have said to me that when they've followed what I've said, they've discovered that they hit more of their shots because they were struggling before.
Yeah.
There seems to be a desire to know more about Cold War and how to get better at it, which is fine, because I think I do okay in Cold War. There's always areas where I could improve. I mean, oftentimes on a live stream, I'll know that I've screwed up, and I'll acknowledge that I should have done that instead of what I did. So there's no hiding that I have crap games as well sometimes, because it's easy to make a video and just put all your MVPs into one video, and people will think, oh, this guy's amazing, but on a live stream you can't get away with it as much.
That's why I quite like putting in a few like mediocre games into some of the videos, because I feel like it's more of a representation of what sometimes it's like, because I can show you a game of the worst tank in the game doing the best by like 4 times the damage of anyone else, but is it actually what you'd expect of the tank? Probably not. So if I think the tank's bad, usually I'll throw in some of the mediocre games, and I did that with one of the tanks recently. I was like, look, this tank, I've had some good results. I've probably had more damage results than I've shown in these replays, but not really reflective of what the tank's actually like.
Yes.
So, sometimes I find that's a good way of doing it.
Yeah, I think.
And on live streams, like you say, you can't get away with being rubbish. I've found that a few times. I've only done like, I don't know, maybe like 6 live streams before. And I mean, they do all right.
Yeah. It's a
think
different way of
you get,
interacting with people.
Yeah, I like doing it. I just, at the minute, it's not practical for me to do it because I have so much going on.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't have, like, the time where I can just sit down and just focus on that. But I will hopefully, fingers crossed, be able to do it a bit more maybe later on down the line.